it is Nurse Queen. I am back today with a new video. This video is going to be all about travel nursing, crisis rates, and if it's the right time to travel nurse. So if you're a travel nurse trying to stay in your crisis nurse bag, if you're a staff nurse wondering if this is the right time to transfer into travel nursing because the rates aren't as appealing, or if you're just a nurse trying to just get some insight on the crisis nurse world, I will give you some insight and also some advice on how to transition into travel nursing and just stay about your money. So if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, like and comment on this video. We're gonna get right into it. So as I said, I want this video to be very short. I just want to get straight to the point and kind of just give you all some insight. So if you all don't know who I am, I have been a travel nurse for 3 years. I've been a labor and delivery nurse for about 6 to 7 years. Overall, it's been a great experience. I've had an amazing time through travel nursing, but I've learned so many things along the way, and I'm hoping throughout my channel and platform, I'm making your transition just a tad bit smoother. So let's take it back to 2018 when I first started travel nursing. I am so embarrassed to even reveal to you all what my rate was when I first started, because to me, it was a lot. Like, I went from staff nursing to travel nursing, and my pay definitely increased, but looking at what I received at that moment because I didn't know any better is embarrassing. So now that we're in March of 2022, we see these rates out here that are not as appealing as they were during the pandemic. During the pandemic, we had rates as high as $12,000 a week for travel nurses. That is crazy. That is unheard of. And as I've been telling you all on my Insta story and also on my YouTube channel, get to the bag. Like, if you all did not reap the benefits of at least one travel contract as a travel nurse during that time and you had the experience, then I don't really know what to tell you. Like, I mean, I think that, you know, the pandemic is definitely normalizing, and I do know that there are still rates out there. And in this video, I'm going to provide the companies that you all should look into and just ways to stay about your money. But the rates that are out there now are low. Not low as they could be, but they're definitely low. So as I stated, when I started travel nursing back in 2018, it was a pivotal moment for me. I transitioned into travel nursing at a time where I was ready to leave Kentucky, which is where I got my undergraduate degree, and it was just not the place for me. So travel nursing was important for me because not only was I going to enter big cities, also hoping to be introduced to a more diverse nursing unit and just a more diverse population. In Kentucky, as you all know, it's not a lot of people that look like me. And of course, on my nursing units, the labor and delivery unit I worked on, the med surg unit I worked on, literally I was probably one out of probably at the most 4 Black nurses. And although that didn't hinder my experience, it definitely didn't make my experience as good as it could have been because I seen the gap in diversity and I wanted to tap into that. So I was hoping that travel nursing would expose me to that, and it definitely did. So just to be completely transparent with you all, when I first started travel nursing, I did go to Chicago, which is my hometown. I stayed with some family, and my first rate as a travel nurse was so low. Oh my God, like, if I look back, I think it was like $1,300 a week. And as I say to you all now how much I am not willing to leave my bed for, I would never even look at a contract paying that low. But when I first started travel nursing, it was literally $1,200 a week, which as in comparison, I was making $1,200 every 2 weeks as a staff nurse. So it was still a lot of money to me. It's definitely a learning experience going forward. And I just count it as an L, a lesson. Keep it pushing. So that was my first assignment. Throughout my journey as a travel nurse, COVID happened, the pandemic started, and eventually they started to pay labor and delivery nurses exactly what they deserved because yes, as a labor nurse, I take care of patients with COVID. So as the pandemic started, I started to see rates as high as $8,000 a week, $10,000 a week. It was crazy. So by assignment number, I would say 5 or 6, I eventually tapped into the crisis nurse world, and I have not looked back since. And when I say I have not looked back since, I'm just saying that ever since I've been introduced to crisis rates and just rates that are very high, I've realized like, hey, I'm needed in this industry and I'm gonna go for what I deserve and I don't care. So after assignment number 5, all of my assignments have been very high paying, and I've kind of strategically figured out how to continue on that high crisis rate journey. So what I've learned during my journey is that around February to about April, even before the pandemic, that's usually the slow season for travel nursing. And it sounds very like subjective, and it may change yearly because of course here we are in a pandemic, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, but overall every year is always low. I remember last year at around March or April, I was struggling to find a position that paid enough because I wanted to stay with crisis rates and high paying jobs. And I literally told myself like, hey, I'm not gonna start back working until I find a job paying what I needed to pay. And sure enough, at the end of March to like early April, rates started to increase. I don't know what goes on in the world around that time, but honestly, these rates that you're seeing, it may just be due to the fact that, like I said, this is a slow season for travel nursing. Another thing to consider is that overall, although the rates may not be $10,000 a week, $8,000 a week, there are definitely still high paying jobs out there. And the high paying jobs may not look as appealing to you because when you started looking at travel nursing, you've seen these rates that were crazy high, but literally the rates that are out there now are still like great. You know, they're more than you're gonna get paid as a staff nurse. Don't really think about the fact that the rates aren't like 10K a week or 11K a week. Focus more on how much am I going to make compared to my staff job? How much am I going to capitalize if I choose to take this travel nurse contract? Is it more than what I would get paid as a staff nurse? Think about those things and then reevaluate and then decide like, hey, okay, travel nursing is for me. Although it may not be 8 to 10K a week, it's definitely enough to know that I'm getting paid double than I would get paid as a staff nurse. And realistically, rates that I would say pre-pandemic that were like high paying would be rates such as like, okay, you work 36 hours. A good rate for me back then before the pandemic was about $3,500 to $4,000. If I seen a 36-hour contract paying $4,000 before the pandemic, I actually would have thought it was very high paying. So that is still a lot. Just imagine as a staff nurse, I was getting paid $1,200 every 2 weeks. So just to know that I'm now getting paid $3,000 to $4,000 a week, that's a completely different tax bracket, a completely different amount of income that I was not used to. So honestly, that's a great rate. 36 hours, $4,000, 36 hours, even high 3,000s. Like just compare them to pre-pandemic rates versus like during pandemic rates, because your perspectives are going to be skewed if you just continue to sit at home or stay a staff nurse because you feel as though like, hey, I'm only going out unless they're paying 10K a week or more. Honey, I honestly don't know if that time has passed. Like it may be over with. We're thinking that you're going to get paid 10K a week, and if there are positions out there, they are very limited, and if you're going from staff to travel, you may not be as marketable as a seasoned travel nurse, quite frankly. So the lingering question is it too late to travel nurse? Like, should you still continue on your travel nurse journey? Should you quit your staff job and transition into travel nursing at this very moment? My answer, honestly, is yes. Like, taking a leap of faith is always my go-to because I understand that the universe is going to place me wherever it needs to place me, and I manifest good vibes, good energy, and positivity. And with that being said, whatever is for me is going to be for me. Period. So with that being said, I definitely would say towards the end of March, if you're thinking about traveling, continue to look at the rates and just compare them to your current salary or your current checks, and just think like, can I still make a lot of money from this? Do I think that the crisis rates are definitely decreasing? They are. Like, the universe in the world is not as scared of COVID as it was before. It's not actually a pandemic anymore. People are everywhere without masks. They have vaccines available. So to everyone else, it's definitely becoming normalized, and I believe in the near future it's going to be categorized as like the common cold. I don't even think COVID is going to be like a big thing, but that's a whole nother video that I'm not going to get into. So with that being said, you need to get in where you fit in, and I'm going to tell you all how, and I'm going to tell you all what I use to find high paying contracts and how you all can continue making crisis rates and also high paying positions. So I'm often asked, what's my favorite travel nurse agency? And honestly, I don't have a favorite travel nurse agency. I go wherever the money is fitting or whatever city I want to go to, as long as it falls within the pay range that I'm willing to accept. So with that being said, the question lies, where do I find my travel contracts? And I literally find 90% of my travel contracts on social media. Crazy, right? People literally underestimate the power of social media. Like, social media is the GOAT for everything. Whether you're looking for a new restaurant, you're looking for a hotel to stay in when you go out of town, reviews on resorts, and even jobs. Like, I found literally probably half of my travel nurse contracts through social media. Whether it was a nurse like me, always posting high rates on their Instagram, or literally Facebook groups are dedicated to travel nursing and also high paying contracts. So I actually have a list in my phone of like all the Facebook groups that I follow that post high paying jobs. My current contract that I'm on, a friend actually sent it to me, but he got the information from a Facebook group. So with that being said, make sure that you all are utilizing social media, because it literally will help place you exactly where you need to go. Like, it's a millennia away, why not? Okay, so the Facebook groups that are the ones I use the most are one, Crisis Rates Nursing Jobs. That is a Facebook group dedicated to crisis rates. So whether it's a strike assignment or rates that are paying at least $100 an hour, they post them on this specific Facebook groups, and it may be other nurses, it may be recruiters, or anything of that nature, and literally they'll have all the information in the post. Be very careful when submitting your information to recruiters that post on Facebook, because of course, you know, there are scammers out here, people that are not really recruiters or don't have your best interests at heart, and you want to be very protective of your documents, your licensures, and things of that nature. So take this with a grain of salt. Next, another Facebook group that I follow is Crisis COVID Rates Travel Nursing, and basically they post a lot of COVID rates. It may be a lot of vaccination jobs on there, as well as like COVID clinics and things of that nature, but they pay really high. And typically I see contracts no less than $4,000 or $5,000 a week on there. So only the big paying contracts are on there. So make sure you all tap in. Next, the last one I follow is PROLINK Nurse Jobs, $5,000 a week and up. And as you all can see in the title, it is $5,000 a week and up. Any contract below that, the admins don't even accept. So I'll be like actually writing out the name of the Facebook groups on this YouTube. That way you all can see the correct spelling. And of course you have to submit for approval to actually be accepted, but it's super easy. Once you're in there, you're in there. Lastly, the travel nurse agencies that are still kind of rolling with the big bucks are, my top three are PROLINK. I worked with them before, love them. They are still sending out high paying contracts in pretty cool areas. I seen a Hawaii position a couple weeks ago, Los Angeles, Idaho. That's not really cool, but all in all, they have some really high paying contracts out there. Also AYA. In the past, AYA didn't pay that much, but now they must have a lot of funding, and they are paying a lot for travel nurses in some weird areas, but they also have some high paying contracts out there too. So make sure you all create a profile with them. Next, SNAP Nursing. SNAP Nursing was very popular around the time where COVID vaccines were really big and the rollout was prominent, as well as swab centers, but now they have actual positions. I've been seeing a lot of L&D positions in places as cool as LA, and they're paying at least like 110 to 120 an hour. So SNAP nursing is a thing. And then lastly, strike agencies. So do not sleep on strike nursing. It's very unpredictable and tentative in nature, so a lot of people don't like to live their life on the edge like that, to just wait around for a strike to be called. But you know, sometimes you never know, the universe may align where you are off during this time and you need a high paying contract, and typically strike agencies will pay for your housing, pay for your transportation, so all you have to worry about is going to work and you get paid your hourly rate, and it's so seamless. Like, I love doing strikes. And my favorite agencies for strikes are US Nursing is one, Health Source Global, and Freedom Healthcare Staffing. All of those agencies staff travel nurses for strike positions. So make sure you all continue to follow all the strike agencies, because that has been around pre-COVID and post-COVID, and it will stay around because nurses are continually finding out that they deserve so much better. So they're going to continue to go on strike. And with that being said, they're going to always need travel nurses to come in, and they're willing to pay a lot of money to fill that temporary need. So stay tuned. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video was very helpful in nature to not only help you decipher what is your next step, but if you are a travel nurse, to help you understand that the rates are still out there and they still need you. So do not settle for less. And if you are a staff nurse and you're so indecisive about starting travel nursing, I'm going to say do it. No matter what you're going to capitalize, no matter what they're going to need you, if you have that experience and you have at least, I say, 1.5 to 2 years of experience in your specialty, travel, do it. It's a great experience when it comes to living, learning new culture, meeting new people, and just starting over. So if you're deciphering if you should do it, I definitely would say do it. Utilize those Facebook groups that I mentioned in here, as well as the different agencies I mentioned, because of course, you know, you're new, you don't want to take the lowest rate. You still want to, you know, tap into the crisis world and get a bang for your buck. So make sure you all are using all the tips that I'm mentioning in this video. Last but not least, thank you all for watching. I appreciate all the support. In the meantime, if you all are not subscribed, make sure you all subscribe to my channel, like and comment under this video. I will see you all later with a new video next week. Bye.